This POV is based on the events from the movie Godzilla Resurgence, otherwise known as Shin Godzilla. It's going to be a reimagining of the events, and since I was not born in Japan, I'm going to put the setting in America instead. This POV will be from the perspective of a human, and it will be set in the events after Godzilla Resurgence. My hope is that you'll enjoy it. Anyways, let's begin. "Is everyone all right?" asked Diane, barely catching her breath. She looked around for her little brother. "Where is Rory?" Kristin shakes some of the debris out of her red curly hair. She searches around frantically for him. She was always the panicky one, and that's what worries me. "He's over here with me," says Stephen, with Rory in tow. I've never seen Diane so emotional, but when she realizes that her brother is still alive, she quickly forgets her classiness and runs over to greet him with so much emotion on her face. She inspects him from head to toe. "Are you alright? Are you alright? You hurt?" "Yes, I'm fine, I'm not hurt. Stop." Even in the failing light, I can see that Rory is squinting. "Dude, what's wrong with your eye?" I inquire, walking closer to him and Diane. "That's nothing, a little of the dust got in it, that's all." "Guys, all the tremors stop, we need to find a way to get out of here." There's a slight pause as everyone catches their breath and surveys their environment. "I mean, can you believe this is happening right now?" says Stephen. "Well, whatever it is that's happening, it's not happening anymore. This is our time to move. Harry, can you come with me a moment, please?" Diane is one of those stoic girls. She's only 2 years older than me, but she acts like she's all of our mothers. It's very hard to feel masculine around her. She outdoes me in everything. Even in this situation with that creature terrorizing the cities, I gotta admit, I ran like a pussy. She was the one that was going out there in the thick of things trying to help people get to safety. I'm not afraid to admit that I was just obeying my very basic instinct to preserve my own life. After all, if I risked my neck to help those people and they went free, they would not think 2 more seconds about me. We go to the stairs of the subway. The access back to the surface. I look up and a rock tumbles down the stairs. I focus my attention to Diane. "We don't know the state of the surface." "I know. I'm not looking forward to it. You sure it's time to go up there?" "I know that if we stay down here, it's going to take longer for people to find us. So to the surface we go. Gather everyone and try to keep your wits about you." I walk away, getting ready to tell the others that it's time to exit the subway, when Diane pulls me back. "Harry." "What's up?" I ask her. I can see the fear in her face and all of the stress, and as stoic as she is, I can tell, having known her for a while, that she is trying her utmost to keep it together. "Thank you for having my back." "Of course," I reply. I turn back around and signal the others to follow us, and we all make our way up the stairs. I can't believe it was only hours ago everything was normal. These very steps were clean, or at least as clean as they can be with a city full of piss and garbage. People were walking around in their best, going to work, getting lunch, and being romantic. My whole world turned upside down when people started fleeing frantically for their lives from some unseen force. When it started, I could hear the tremors, but I couldn't see where the danger was coming from. And then I looked over the buildings that were being toppled by some strange organism crawling on the ground. I thought it was some sort of parade or those flash mobs that you see on TV, but the way people were screaming and falling made me dubious. I think my fears were realized when somebody slipped and a beam that came from some building fell straight through their heads and impaled them, through the mouth and out the backside of their head. I remember just staring in horror at what happened. That's when I realized that this was serious. Nobody even regarded the person who was dying, barely standing up, only being held up by the beam that was now embedded in the ground as they gurgled on their own blood. I looked up and I could see on the city's horizon that monster making its way through the city straight towards me. Stephen and I had been out for lunch. While we were escaping from this thing and from the chaos, honestly, that's when we ran into Diane and Rory, her little brother. Later on, we met Kristin when she was screaming like a banshee while some people were trying to rob her. I don't understand for the life of me why anyone would want to rob at a time like this, but it happens. Just like in the movie, all manners of crime that you only see during the purge have been happening. Because I guess people figure they're going to die, they might as well make amends and be the worst they can be before they go or tap out. Since then, we've been together as a group. We took up refuge in the subway here. The military was taking care of things, and now everything's quiet. That's the short of it. The long version is that whatever this thing is, apparently it came from out of the water, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and they knew it was going to keep growing until eventually they somehow stop it. At least that's what I gather. When we finally make our way to the surface, the sight is horrendous. Bodies lay strewn all over the streets. It's deathly quiet, like the graveyard it is. Every step that we take can be heard echoing throughout the streets. Every movement reverberates off the broken buildings that surround us. I look over at Steven to see that he hasn't moved. Steven, come on, what are you doing? The only thing he does to show me that he heard what I said is point in a direction. I follow his finger slowly to look where he's pointing. Rory and the girls stop and fall in line with me. My heart drops into my feet when I witness what Steven is staring at so intently. Above the decimated skyscrapers is the demonic entity standing at attention, looking as though it is waiting to deploy another attack. A scream pierces the still air, and our heads all whip around to face the offender of the silence. It's Kristin. Rory quickly wraps his hands around her mouth, and the scream is instantly cut off. "Shut up! Are you crazy? Do you want to get us all killed?" "I'm sorry," is all she replies to Rory. "Kristin, keep it together," says Diane, rolling her eyes. "What is it doing?" asks Rory without taking his eyes off the monster. "It looks like it's just standing there," I say, walking a bit past the others. It's not moving at all." "Maybe it's dead. Maybe the military took care of it," Diane suggests with a shaky breath. "Maybe that's why it's so quiet," Rory adds in. The thing looks like it's a lot farther away for some reason, but it's actually only a few blocks. Rory looks around for something and then takes off. He gets on a fallen bicycle and then starts riding it towards the beast. We all call out to him in surprise. Diane starts to give chase, but can't catch up to him on the bicycle. "Don't worry, I'm only going to check it out," he yells while cycling harder. Diane gives me a concerned look. "Don't look at me, he's your brother." "What am I going to do with him?" "Well, for one thing, we're not going where that thing is," says Kristin, looking as though she wants to cry. "Right, Harry?" "We have to go after him," Diane says while looking around in cars to see if there's one working. "Diane, please don't be ridiculous. Even if you find a working car, look at the roads." I say this hoping she'll see reason, but I know already in my heart she won't listen. This is her 15-year-old kid brother, and like an idiot, he's gone off for some strange reason to be as close to that beast as possible. I have to get as close as I can. I understand if you don't want to help me, but I'm leaving. "You crazy though, my guy. What if that thing wakes up?" pipes in Steven. "Yeah, what if it's just playing possum or something?" Kristin says, shaking. "It's dead. The military isn't firing anymore. There's no activity. I'm not going to let Rory go out there alone. Do whatever you want." Surprisingly, Diane finds a working car and gets in. I watch as she closes the door and starts the car. The engine sputters and stalls 3 times before she gets it on the 4th try. The car is banged up, but clearly still operational. Diane sticks her head out through the driver's side and looks in my direction with a smile. "You know, the closer we are to the military is the higher chance we have of being rescued. Chances are they set up a perimeter around that thing. They're going to make sure it's not a danger before they start sending out rescue." I don't know if any of that's true, but for some reason, I believe her. I look back at the others and Steven gives me a wary stare. "You not serious though?" "Steven, I want to get as far away from that thing as possible, but she's right." "Oh my god, how do you know that, Harry? Do you know how the military works? What's in their mind? I don't know. What if they're thinking that every civilian got as far away from here as possible? As far away from that thing as possible?" I consider what he says for a bit and then reply. "Chances are they're going to start as close as possible since the monster did the most damage within the vicinity it was." I get in the passenger side seat. Steven groans in exacerbation and gets in the back of the car with me. Kristin, reluctant to stay behind, gets in too. "I hate you guys. I really hate you." She curses over and over underneath her breath, regretting her decision as the car drives off. The closer we get to the bipedal monstrosity, the faster my blood flows. "I can't even right now, dude. This is like something from out of a movie." I stutter, hardly able to control myself. We reach an intersection that is just impossible for us to get by. The brakes of the car squeals as it comes to a stop. "What are we gonna do now?" asks Kristin. Diane takes a while to think, her hands resting firmly on the steering wheel as the car idles. "Well, we can get out here, see if we can cut straight through. The car can't get around this." She then looks over at me to invite me to come up with an idea. "Or we can try to find another way around." I don't like this whole idea to begin with, and she's usually the one that takes the reins. I have to admit, I feel a bit uncomfortable her suddenly putting me on the spotlight. I mean, we could do that. I mean, there's also the possibility that if we go another way that's blocked off too, then we're just wasting time. "That's true," Diane replies, in consideration to this while nodding her head up and down slowly as if deep in thought. She puts her mouth into a tight O, as though she's trying to remove something from her teeth, and then shuts off the engine. "Oh, hell no!" exclaims Stephen. "We have to get out. We're close enough. It's only a couple of more blocks down." "Diane, I really like you, I do, but I have a really bad feeling about this, and I feel like you're one of those white girls in the movies that actually walk towards the danger." I release a chuckle to ease some of my tension. "Who says it's dangerous?" I say, purposely trying to annoy my friend. Stephen glares at me from the back seat. I don't even have to look at him to know he's doing it. I've known him for 12 years. Despite him having dark brown skin, I can see the veins popping out of his head and him turning red. He points a finger in my face from the back seat. "You better stop playing. This is not like the movies. Something comes up and caps our asses, we're dead. Ain't no one up in this bitch. We out." "Ugh, we don't want to die either, Stephen," says Diane as she exits and grabs her things. Everyone follows suit. "Sure doesn't feel like it," Kristin says in a trance. "I still can't get over how quiet it is," says Rory, who's parked near a now still fountain. Diane whips her head around in surprise and walks up to him and then shoves him to the ground. "Don't ever do that again. Now is the worst time for you to be... you!" We're all visibly relieved that we've caught up to Rory. The rest of us get our bearings and walk even closer towards the behemoth. As we're making our way closer to it, we all stare at its head. "Look at how long the tail is," Rory points out. "Yes, that's nice, Rory." "All the bit to smack the shit out of you with." "What do you think it is?" "Judgment Day," I reply to Kristin. "Could be aliens." "Why is your first thought always aliens? What is it with you people?" "Because it usually is," Rory replies to Stephen, who glares at him. Looking down on the teenager, he then shoves him to the side. "When is the last time you were invaded by aliens again?" "When your black ass came here." "Whoa,
Rory, here we go.
Boy, if you don't..." "Rory, you don't say things like that." "You better come get your kid before I give him the slap his parents should have." Rory smiles despite this. "Well, it's true." "Rory, shut the hell up and focus." "Why? The thing is dead," he emphasizes. The tip of its toenail is only a few yards away. Its size is breathtaking. I'm actually hurting my neck trying to look up at it. Rory walks around to the back side of the animal as the others talk amongst themselves. "Well, Diane, where's the cavalry?" I ask, feeling uneasy the longer I stand here. There's no longer any sunlight, and night is descending upon us quickly. The sky is an ominous purple, and the large creature above us is now becoming a gigantic silhouette. "No one is here. They probably left without us," Kristin chirps, her voice like nails on a chalkboard. In my periphery, while I'm asking Diane a question, I can see Rory staring up at the tail end of the creature. "We wait here," his sister says. "Right, by Satan's effigy." "No, think about it. There has to be a reason that nobody else is here. Look around you, Diane. It's a ghost town. You said the military would be here." "Well, they can't be far." "I don't feel safe here."
"I know, right? This was like the worst idea."
As the group is quarreling amongst themselves, I hear ever so slightly a question whisper on the wind. It takes me a while to even process that it's coming from my left. From Rory. I look over at Rory and then walk towards him. He's not faced me yet. Instead, what I see in his expression is sheer curiosity transitioning ever so slowly into a dark dread. "Hey, Rory, what did you say?" Rory stammers, but no words escape his mouth. I lean in, and I'm looking to where his gaze is falling, and then I hear him more clearly.
What is that?
I look up at the monster's tail, which is where he's looking. I can hear Diane and Steven still bickering, but every other noise is repressed into the background. I stare at the tail of the creature, and as Rory and I hold our breath, we watch in horror as a figure rides from off the huge monster's tail, freeing itself only to fall down from its great height into the shadowed streets below. We both hear a slight thud followed by the sounds of metal clanging and glass breaking. Everyone else falls quiet. Steven curses.
What the hell was that?
Rory looks back at his sister. "Die! Something fell off from the tail." "What do you mean?" There are things on it. They look like people. One fell off the tip of... Another clang is heard. We all silently face the tail, waiting in suspense, as we watch two more humanoid-looking monstrosities wriggle themselves free and fall below. Their falling motion is reminiscent of an athletic diver making himself streamlined to cut through the water after expertly diving from off his plank. The hair on my neck stands up when I hear the reverberation of the unearthly shrieks coming from whatever those things are. The streets around us are bathed in darkness.
Oh, shit.
I hear Steven breathe. We're silent for a while. I see Diane make a move towards a nearby vehicle, and then another. I just want her to shut up and stop making noise. Every soft footfall feels like a screaming beacon towards our location. "Diane! Wait!" I whisper harshly. "Check the vehicles," she responds. Everyone scatters and tries to open the doors. It doesn't take long for us to find an open door. I leap into an SUV with its passenger door already open. There's blood on the seat, but no one in the vehicle. I close the door so fast that it slams. I watch, with my breathing picking up the pace as Diane climbs into a red car, pulling Rory in behind her. Steven jumps into the back seat of a silver Benz. Kristin is freaking out, waving her hands around like a baby bird trying to fly, still out in the open. The shrieks get louder, indicating to us that whatever the hell those things are, they're getting closer. It's dark, and aside from a few streetlights that are on, most of the street is bathed in darkness. The huge intersection is where the large beast is, and I know those things aren't far. I lean down and slouch into my seat so I'm not easily seen as I recline the car seat. At the last minute, it seems Kristin runs past every vehicle and into a storefront. I can't see her any longer. Silence is the only thing I hear. Thank goodness the SUV is an older one, where the windows can be opened manually. I silence my cell phone. We've all but forgotten about them since the police wasn't responding anyway. I look over to Diane's car. I can see her looking behind, trying to make out what is in the distant shadows. She makes eye contact with me, as if to ask if I've seen anything. I shake my head, slowly, scared to move the car even a little. As if on cue, we all hear a deafening shriek, like something from out of the depths of hell. Immediately, my entire body freezes up, and I stay as still as possible. From a distance, I hear the haunting sound of a man screaming for his life, and I somehow know that he's met a grisly end. Right now, this SUV is my only safe haven. I look towards the shadows and all around on the street. I'm basically parked on the sidewalk upon which the storefront Kristin sits. Everyone is waiting for what seems like an hour. I know those things are out there, and I can see that Diane is getting antsy. I just pray that she doesn't get out of the car. I want to text her to just stay in the car, but I don't have her number. Furthermore, I'm scared to death to turn my phone up in case those things see the light. I hold my breath, and as I watch her looking out the window and then signaling something back to Rory, I look around and see slight movement to my left. Right there, in the shadows. I look back in terror at Diane. Since it's much darker, she probably can't see me, and if I try to make myself seen, those things, those devilish creatures will probably see me first. I closed my eyes and shut them tight, chanting, "Stay in the car, stay in the car, stay in the car." There's no way for me to signal to her anything I want to convey. Am I gonna watch her die? Suddenly, from what I can see of her face, she ducks down quickly, and I soon see the reason why. From my left, peeling from out of the shadows as though the darkness is giving birth to it, is a large creature with arms that look like they're longer than my entire body. I first see the spindly dark arms step into a pool of light provided by one of the street lamps. The next thing I see is a head attached to the shoulders to which the arms are attached. The creature looks human, but not quite. It has long legs like a human and long arms that look humanoid as well, but it eerily walks on all fours. What's even more terrifying is how silent it is. I'm guessing if it stands up, it's probably about 7 feet tall or 8, or maybe 9. It makes a soft chittering noise with its teeth as though it's chattering them together. It walks in such a smooth motion, more elegantly than any cat I've seen. At the end of its body is a long appendage I'm guessing is a tail. At the end of that tail is what looks like a scythe or a scorpion stinger. The tail is 2 times the length of its body and seems to move of its own accord. The tail seems to almost act like an antenna for its backside. It stops walking and faces me. My body is pasted as low as I can go in this SUV. I can't see it now, but from what I remember, it has no eyes. It looks like some kind of amalgamation of the monstrous creature and a human being. I sincerely hope Kristin has locked herself into a bathroom. The next thing that occurs literally causes me to almost piss myself. A little bit of my urine escapes as I feel the SUV dip to one side. The roof of the SUV slowly bows inward. The thing is on top of the vehicle. The left side of the SUV lets up slowly, and I hear what I'm guessing is the tail of the creature scraping against the roof of the vehicle as it gets off on the other side. I can now slightly see it, since it's now on the right side of the vehicle. If it turns around and it can see in the dark or see at all, it will see me huddled up on the driver's side with the seat reclined all the way back. I am very vulnerable in this position, especially with it being so tall, and I am deathly afraid to move. Anything on the left of the car, to it I am well hidden, but with this creature whose back and tail is to me still, on the right side of the car I'm in full view, and if it happens to look through those untinted windows, Stephen is lucky. Sitting in the silver Benz, his windows are completely tinted, windows that are actually illegal because of how dark they are. Illegal. Not going to be hearing that word for a while. The creature stands on all fours for a while, sniffing the air. I fear for my life, praying to a god I don't even believe in, that it won't turn around. To my absolute goddamn horror, it does. I swear, it looks dead at me as I'm sitting in the driver's seat. I try not to breathe as tears stream down my face. It just sits there, staring back at me, as I stare at it for what seems like a good 2 minutes. Then, it scratches the tip of its tail slowly across the passenger window, making a straight line which cuts through the glass. The rest of its body has not moved, nor has its head, which is still facing me. It turns around slowly to face the storefront Kristin went into, and then just lazily walks in that direction. I slowly release the breath I was holding. I pull down my fly and lean my hips over the side and release my piss between the door of the car and the seat. As I'm relieving myself, a haunting thought crosses my mind. What if they're hypersensitive to smell? I wait for the thing to exit the storefront, but it doesn't. I take a peek over the driver's window to see if I can locate Diane. She's looking at the storefront in horror from what I can see. For a minute, I think Kristin is no longer in there, but I'm wrong. Because 5 minutes after the creature enters the store, I see a tiny figure with red hair creeping out quickly. Oh no. My heart beats rapidly as I watch Kristin looking around in a frenzy for someplace else to conceal herself. I don't want Kristin to die. But I swear to God, and I feel horrible for this. But when I see her looking towards my SUV, the only thing that's going through my mind is, bitch, please do not come over here. I'd rather you get torn apart. Please don't come over here. Don't kill us both. I look at her, but I don't know if she can see me through the windshield, but I almost dare her to not think about it. I swear if she reaches for this door and she happens to open it, I will punch her square in the face. Don't even think about coming over here. I know it sounds heartless, but I can't deal. And right now, my self-preservation instinct is through the roof. I slowly and as quietly as I can lock the driver's side door. She starts making her way over to the SUV, but then goes past it. Hypocritically, now that she's no longer putting me in danger, I start to inwardly cheer for her to run. She silently runs from car to car, trying to stay hidden, trying to stay quiet, and then she heads for the intersection, and then for the shadows. Involuntarily, I jump when I hear a large crash from my right. My brain has no idea how to process what just happened. I realize that my eyes are closed, and that's why I can't. When I open them, the creature is standing in front of the SUV, but it's not facing me. It's facing the direction in which Kristin ran, who I can still see running through the shadows. Like lightning, like an African cheetah, without making a sound, the creature on all fours sprints smoothly over the pavement like a frickin' wraith straight towards Kristin. I watch terror-stricken as it grabs her mid-run and throws her into the air backwards. It seems as though, like a ragdoll, she's falling back to the ground in slow motion. I watch in horror as she falls headfirst. The sound her skull makes as it hits the pavement from about 15 feet in the air makes me want to throw up. At first, it seems as though she's trying to right herself so she can get up and run again. Maybe that is what she's trying to do, but she clearly has brain damage, because all she manages to do is convulse on the floor, flopping around like a fish out of water. I can hear her trying to say something, but whatever is damaged in her brain has broken her ability to speak. The creature appears back from out of the shadows. We all watch in horror, but also in relief that it's not us, as the creature walks up to the poor flopping girl. Kristin is about 4 feet away from the SUV I'm in. I stay where I am, trying to keep myself as hidden as possible. What can you do in a situation like this? My eyes are pasted to the gruesomeness that unfolds before me. The creature places one of its long, demonic-looking hands on her head to keep her still, and then places another one on one of her arms. And then it leans down and grabs hold of one of her breasts in its jaws. I watch with tears flowing out of my eyes as it bites down and tears her flesh away. Her screams are silenced by the fluid flooding her lungs. I almost shit myself when 3 more of these creatures suddenly appear from out of the shadows, as though they've always been there. One grabs a leg with one of its arms and pulls it clean off Kristin's body. I watch as it puts the thigh end in its mouth and then uses its teeth to scrape the meat off the leg in one motion, like someone sucking the meat off a chicken bone. Kristin is still alive, and they're eating her. I watch as one of the monsters grabs a rib in its jaws and breaks it in half and swallows it whole. The first monster picks Kristin up, and as it sits back on its hind legs, it starts eating the flesh from off her remaining leg. The other monsters try to pick pieces off her, but the first monster roars at them, claiming its kill. I am convinced that this SUV is where I'm going to die, because I am not leaving this goddamn car. The creature slams Kristin's body onto the ground once. Holding her by the torso, it slams her onto the ground a second time. Then it unceremoniously scrapes her along the pavement until pieces of her flesh are just hanging off in tatters and littered all over that section of the street. Somehow, unmercifully through all of this, holy shit, she's still alive. though I don't know what state of consciousness she's in. She's convulsing heavily, and all of this stops when the creature finally puts her skull in between its jaws and takes a bite out of it. A very loud and sickening crunch is heard reverberating throughout the streets. I don't want to see anymore. I slouch once more and cry, trying not to be heard. When it goes quiet, I wonder if the creature is finally done. That could have happened to me. Feeling apprehensive, I take my time, I wipe my tears, and I try to get out of my slouching position so I can peek over the driver's window again to ascertain the status of the creature. Sometimes, when you perform an action, you'll experience regret in having done so, but it's a helpless feeling because at the moment when you realize you've made a mistake, you know that in that moment there is nothing you can do to change your decision. That's how I feel now. Because staring back at me from the other side of the driver's side window is the fucking monster. It is literally 2 inches from my face. The glass window, the only thing separating us. I almost scream, but I just hold my breath and freeze. Its teeth chatter, and it tilts its head from side to side. It pecks the glass so softly with its flesh-coated teeth, and I want to vomit. I know I'm dead. I don't see any eyes on the thing, but I know it knows I'm in here. It knows. I watch in terror as it places its large hand on the window and then slowly wipes it around the car, spreading blood everywhere. My only hope is that its fingers don't find the gap where the window was open slightly. It takes me a while to realize what it's doing, but then, when it stops moving its hand around and rests it in one spot, I almost faint. It's found the door handle, which it then starts to try and open. Thankfully, while I was trying to prevent Kristin from getting into the SUV earlier, when I thought she was heading for it, I locked the vehicle. So all that happens is the door handle moving outwards and making the racket that would signal to anyone that the car is locked. The creature takes its hand off the door handle and then climbs on top of the car. The SUV groans under the creature's weight, and I wonder what it's doing as it just sits up there for a few seconds. I can see Diane looking at me with her eyes wide. A familiar feeling of the shocks being relieved is felt, and I look to my right, aghast when I understand what is happening. The creature silently gets down on the other side of the car and then turns around to face the passenger side. It lifts its hand and starts to put it on the door. Jesus H. Christ. I want to jump into the back seat, but I'm afraid that any movement that I do is going to tip it off. And if I run out through the driver's side door, what if the other creatures are waiting for me? I'm dead. I'm dead. Oh my fucking God, I'm dead. It's all that keeps running through my head, and I know that if I make a run for it, I am dead anyway, but I want to die running away. I don't want to die cornered in a vehicle that smells like my piss. The SUV rocks violently, and I scream. A noise that is luckily drowned out by some sudden commotion in the distance. The creatures are now running away in unison in a single direction, without hesitation. I watch as Diane and Rory pour out from their car. I see her signal to me and try and open the driver's door, forgetting that it's locked. I panic, and for a second I don't remember how to unlock the car. Getting my senses back, I unlock the vehicle and stumble out, slipping on Kristin's blood. I vomit instantaneously, but I don't stop running. I want to call out for Steven, but none of us say anything. I know that Steven's in the Benz, and I head over to him. He's my best friend. I try to open the door, but the door's locked. All of them are locked. I know he's in there. I saw him get in there, but I realize what's going on. He's not moving from the spot. He thinks that what we're doing is stupid, and we'd rather take his chances dying in this car. I can't blame him. And for a minute I want to run back into another car and hide, but it's too late, and Diane and Rory are already heading down the block from whence we all came. We could hear the gunshots in the distance and people screaming. I catch up to Diane and Rory. Diane signals for us to be quiet, and we head down some stairs to a lower street. We see an underpass. Every shadow is a potential hiding spot for these creatures. I don't know where she's going, and it feels like we're running aimlessly. We stop for a while under the underpass. I feel like we're all breathing a little too loudly. We look back to the right and Diane stands upright in fear. I don't know what she's staring at, but I don't have to, because after a moment, I hear it. From our right, the sound of a tall animal galloping is closing in on us. She tugs me quickly and runs. We clear the underpass and I can hear it. I can hear it breathing as it chases us. Rory splits off from the group. I hear Diane gasp. Suddenly the creature isn't after me anymore. I thank God. Rory screams when he realizes the monster is upon him. Diane just stands there in front of me. I grab her and try to get her to run, but she runs after her 15-year-old brother. I let her go and head for a bus laying sideways, being propped up by a car it fell on. I go under it and climb up through one of the windows. I hear Diane scream out Rory's name. The horror is that I hardly hear the creatures. I can hear something killing and hunting based on the responses of the prey, but I can't hear the actual monster. The bus is tilted, and so I need to hang on to the seats in order to move through the aisle of the bus. I slip and try to right myself up as I go towards the back, and I head straight for it and duck underneath the bench seat. I bite my fingers to keep myself quiet until the screaming goes down from outside. I don't hear anything for a while. And then I hear Diane. "Harry!" she calls out. Why is she calling my name? "Harry, where are you? They got Rory." At first I think maybe she killed the creature and maybe that's why she's being so loud, but something isn't right. Something pulls me to get out of my hiding spot and stare out the window of the bus. It's hard because for me to see anything I'll have to lift myself up slightly to look out through the bus window. In the moonlight, I can see Diane walking around through the cars. She stumbles and then rights herself and calls out for me again. There's something strange about her that I can't put my finger on, but when I find out what it is, I gasp. Both her arms are missing. I can see a tail flicker behind some cars. Why has it not killed her? It's probably using her as bait for me as she walks, armless, just two small stumps all the way up to her shoulders. To hell with this. I retreat back into the hiding spot I was in, curled up at the back of the bus, underneath the bench. I then remember that these buses have a bathroom in the back. I hear Diane scream a blood-curdling scream. The strong, powerful woman I've known in only a short space of time dies the most horrible death. Using her screams as an audio camouflage, I unlock the bathroom door of the bus and lock myself in. I sit down in the toilet, and I rock back and forth trying not to bawl. All of my masculinity completely having been stripped away. This is how we evolved, but now here is a predator that transcends us. For a while, I just sit, and I fall asleep until I hear the sound of a helicopter or a plane. I jolt awake. Oh my God, is this real? I pinch myself. I just want out of this nightmare. I open the bathroom door and instantly close it back when I see what is boarding in through one of the windows. Shit! This cannot be happening. I lock the bathroom and hear a loud thump as the creature squeezes in and its momentum causes it to crash into the other side of the bus. The bus tilts and then stills. I can hear it breathing. After several moments, when I think it's going to go away, it comes back in my direction, and I can hear it, and it seems to be breathing right outside the bathroom door. My heart sinks when I realize that the sound of the helicopter or flying vehicle is retreating. I fall asleep, and then I awake what seems to be several hours later. I don't hear anything, and so I open the bathroom door slowly. The monster is gone. At least, it's not in the bus anymore. I don't even want to step out. But if there are helicopters around searching for survivors, that alone means there's hope. I step out of the bathroom and start to walk towards the window of the bus. I can no longer hear any evidence of the aircraft. My mind crosses Stephen, my friend. I left him back there. I should have stayed, but with everything happening the way it did, I felt it a lost cause to stay there. While in thought, the bus violently rocks, and I watch as a large head surfaces and fills the window. Instinctively, I drop into a ball like a hedgehog and go underneath the bench seat at the back of the bus, whimpering, and watch helplessly as the creature crawls into the back of the bus through the windows. All it would need to do, had it eyes, is to look down under the seats. Excitedly, it would seem, the creature inspects the new change on the bus. The door to the bathroom is open, and it smells the inside. I curse myself for having left the bathroom. The creature can't seem to turn around because the bus is such an enclosed area, so it backs up and then stands slightly so it can reposition itself to face the front of the bus. I die inside when it lies down in the aisle. To my horror, it begins convulsing and then is stiff. Thank goodness its tail end is towards me. Blood oozes from its orifices and scaly hide. The pool of blood starts to find its way to me and drenches my clothes. It feels so hot it burns. From what I can see, the monster is dead. I can only hope. I gingerly slide out from my hiding spot after about 15 minutes and step over it, positioning myself right outside the bathroom, ready to jump back in if I need to. I stand there, my eyes spaced into the hideous Beelzebub lying down the length of the bus. 10 more minutes pass by, and I'm half in, half out the bathroom. I look outside. Ominous clouds, pregnant with precipitation, hang low and slowly coast across the sky, the lightning hailing their arrival. There is movement in the body on the ground, and I jump back in the bathroom and close the door shut. I peek out, and I see the creature convulsing intervally. It's clearly not dead if it's still moving, and I fear that I'm going to die inside this bus. No one's going to find me in here. I watch attentively as the torso of the creature begins to tear in half. It's not the creature moving, it's something inside of it. Something emerges from it. The bathroom door is barely open. The split is open half an inch, just enough so I can see what's happening in the aisle of the bus. A creature that looks similar to the one lying on the ground lifelessly breaks through the chest cavity of the humanoid one. My only thought is that whatever is coming out of this thing has to be more sinister than the first. My fears are validated when the creature breaks through, with a long, sharply pointed head, one that I soon discover that it can open wide enough to swallow its host entirely. The speed at which it does this astounds me, and it's as if the other creature had never been there. You'd think that a smaller creature like this would show evidence that it just eaten a larger creature, but there's no evidence. Its stomach area momentarily distends and then shrinks instantly as though there were acid inside of it, having quickly dissolved what it just ate. It emits an inhuman scream in unison with two large spines suddenly popping out from its back. It sniffs the air, and for a moment I think it's going to find me. But it points its nose in the direction of the open windows. With a quickness that the previous creature did not possess, it leaps onto the windowsill of the bus, and those spines unfurl into two sets of wings. What happens next convinces me that I'm definitely staying in this bathroom until someone finds me or until I starve to death, because right before the creature takes off into the air gracefully, two long tails with what look like daggers on the ends of them trailing behind it, it opens its maw, and what comes out of it makes my breath catch. Hurry. Diane's voice carries over the air, mixed in with the haunted cries of this beast. Hearing her voice coming from that thing, I don't even know what to think. I hear others in the distance making similar noises, human screams and voices etched in their unearthly songs. I close the bathroom door. I sit, and I cry as I make peace with what I know will be my fate. I try to let sleep take me, as I hear the haunting tune of my name being carried throughout the sky.